I'm joined by Nicole, who is my client success manager on the NVISION team, and we're going to be talking about client communications, which you are an expert in.
Well, we're learning.
You're doing it professionally. So today, Nicole, we're going to talk about like client expectations, setting those expectations, what our boundaries are, maybe some tips around how we can better communicate with clients or what we found have worked for us in an agency setting, and probably some things that you've learned along the way with some easier and tougher clients.
We'll see what we get into today.
Okay. So to start with, we always look at like our clients in like first like an onboarding journey and then like getting into being our regular retainer clients. Tell us about some of like the boundaries and expectations that you're setting for clients like as soon as we meet with them.
This is a great question because I feel that you can tell right away just the client communication style from the minute, like from the first email, you already know.
I forgot to qualify this. This should have been in your intro. But you're like the master of the vibe check.
Okay.
It's like the instant that we meet a client for like 5 minutes in, we're like, what's the vibe, Nicole? And like, you've just got like a sense for it.
I try to be objective, but sometimes I'm just like, this is not going to be good. Or this is going to be amazing. You never know.
Yeah. And you don't lean like negative or positive or either direction. Like it's not always like a vibe check of like red flags. It's like if someone's good, you give them the credit too.
I try. I do. I give credit where it's due.
Okay, let's go back to boundaries, settings, expectations.
Yeah, I think that a lot of clients probably come from, a lot of people have like agency trauma. I think that comes up a lot. So they come from other agencies and I feel like they're already like a lot of clients I'll notice have kind of like this guard up with agencies. Yeah. So they're kind of like testing us a little bit sometimes. Some clients come to us and there's no issue at all. And you know what I mean? Like they're good. But the ones that come to us with that agency trauma, like I can feel them pushing the boundaries. And I feel like at the very beginning, like that is when it's the most important to set the boundaries of us. Like we'll get emails within the first week of people being like, can we do this later this evening at 7? And that's when you have to be like, we work 9 to 5 and blah, blah, blah. And setting those boundaries in the beginning will just ensure that the team that this gets passed on to will just have an easier time with this client moving forward.
Yeah.
And if the client stays, then you kind of know what you're up for. So you can't really turn back now.
Tell me about the agency traumas, because like when you say it in that term, I'm like, I know everything you're talking about. It's like most of the time a client will come to us and will say, have you ever done marketing before? Like what were you doing before? Like how are you getting leads? If we get that sense of like we worked with this agency, most of the time it's like a bad breakup.
Always. It's definitely, I think that's a really great way of putting it. It is a bad breakup. You still have like things tied to them. Like they still have access to your stuff. They sold you something and you're like kind of still using it, but you hate it. And then like, you know what I mean?
We have to get in touch with them. They're like, let me connect you with my ex.
Exactly.
Like,
and they don't want to talk to them.
They don't want to at all. So what do you think some of those like traumas are that they have? Because I think what it often sets us up for is like if we can learn what they were, like we can kind of avoid or trying to like set a different expectation or have them think differently of us, at least from the start, for us like to be like, we're not like them, we swear.
The agency traumas, I mean, you know them all too, but
I do.
The getting scammed is everyone's biggest number one concern and flag. Like they come in and they just feel like they've been taken advantage of, so they're like extra, you know what I mean, pushy with stuff or have like these really wicked guards up. I don't know, like you know some too. What are some other agency traumas?
Some of them like right up out the gate, they'll be like, how often is your reporting?
There
like,
we go.
How often can I get in touch with you? And the way that it manifests is often like they want to put in maybe excessive touch points to start with to almost like manufacture that trust with us, at least to be like, don't run off, or like make sure you're telling me what you're doing. And it's almost like they've learned like, if I don't hear from you, like that's probably a bad thing because that's what I learned last time.
Exactly. That, and then following that, after we do all the touch points, I feel like there's always the question of like, well, what am I getting? Well, what are you guys doing? Well, can you send me a recap of what you've done? And when it gets to those, like you need to like literally list out in bulleted points list. I'm like, this person has experienced some form of agency trauma before. They don't trust us. Like that's why they're asking to see all these receipts. So soothing that. And I think like our team is really good at we're very transparent. There's nothing is a secret. We'll show you how many hours we're using. We'll show you everything you're paying for. We will never charge you for more things than what you're already doing. And we're very open about what's going on. So I think once we start sending those things or showing them like very transparently what's going on, then they feel like a sense of ease.
Yeah.
So, but
have you found that there's like certain things that have almost like given our clients that like drop of their shoulders, like relaxed, like, okay, I finally trust you?
Putting them in front of you and George, well, specifically for the digital marketing clients, I feel like brings clients a lot of ease. Just the fact that they can access directors or CEOs pretty easily, I would say.
Yeah.
And you guys are also like very good at listening to them. So I feel like they just feel heard and soothed. And I don't know. I don't think you just get to be like, I'm upset. Okay, let me pull you in front of the director immediately. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's like a special thing that we have.
Yeah. I think that's for like anyone, right? Like feeling seen and heard. Like, you know, that thing in like just like general customer service, you've probably worked like retail surveying, like all of that kind of like actually like in front of people. Sometimes like you just have to let people like yell at you.
Exactly.
Like, and once they're heard, they're like, okay, I feel better.
Yeah. And I'm like, I got it
out. I got it out and we're good, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, I think that trust factor though, it takes a little bit of building. And like, as an agency, we're very much about like the transparency rather than being like trying to manufacture like some kind of like artificial constant growth for our clients, because it's an impossibility. Like, at least from the marketing side, like there's no way that like when we say that, you know, clients are going to get results, that like the chart's just going to, what direction? The chart's always going to go like that, like forever and ever. Like it's going to be more naturally like something like that. And to be open and transparent with the client is all we can really do, because at the end of the day, they can access their analytics. They can access like the reporting dashboard that we have for them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We also aren't just like yes men, which I think they also really respect. So they'll come to us and be like, we want this and we think we need that. And then we'll be like, but do you? And then after we explain it, like they actually respect the pushback a little bit sometimes, versus us just being like, yeah, we'll take your money and do it. Like, no problem. Like, here you go.
Yeah.
And that's not what you needed at all.
Yeah. As an agency, we work pretty hybrid. Like, we're in person a smaller amount of the time, but for the most part, like most of our clients are very much digital for us, right? So we have done the full digital remote work thing because of like COVID. And I find that the way that we applied all of that at the start of that was every possible person was on a phone call. I think it's been like a very recent discovery, like between us, that we're like, oh my God, when you get a client one-on-one, they trust us more.
Yeah.
And it's such a like silly observation. How have you been finding that? Like, what are your observations around like video calls and like whether clients can like feel like they know you as a person yet?
Definitely. Like the less is more aspect, I feel like we've been playing with a bit more just to see who actually needs to be here. And yeah, because in the beginning, I remember us all coming to the realization, we're like, I think we're kind of like avatars to clients. Like there is this like lack of humanity when I'm just this little thing that pops up on a screen and I'm like, hello, like I am here today for your meeting. Yeah.
It's like, hello, mute.
Yeah.
And then bye.
Exactly. And then this email pops up with my name on it, but it's not, I'm so two-dimensional. So we've noticed that. And also people get overwhelmed. I think when clients come into a call and there's like 10 of us, everyone's like, whoa, okay. And then you just kind of like get really professional and try to compose. But the one-on-ones is where you're like, oh my gosh, they have kids. They have a dog. Like we learned that we both love like the color blue or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really boring, but whatever
You're adding those to the HubSpot notes, though, right?
Exactly.
You're like, loves blue.
Client notes, loves wine.
Yes.
So those were and I think that was sort of something that we were missing. We were like, we're doing digital marketing, we're working digitally. These people are coming from other agencies. Like, what are we to them? So yeah, I think like the humanization of us as marketers has been something we're kind of trying to like bring back, I guess.
I think so. It's like for depending on what generation you're in or how used to online communications you are, like it's almost like anyone through a screen is like you're watching something on TV. It's like so passive, right? And to form that relationship, like there just has to be like some form of a little bit more depth. I think we started with like, I don't know, client gifting and trying to make it more custom. Like, what's been your approach to that for like our recent like anniversary gifts for clients?
I love the client gifting. I'm really into it. I just feel like giving them something that's a little bit personalized, not just like here's our standard NVISION gift, feels like, one, like I kind of know you, like two, I've kind of been listening, and three, like we care, like you've been with us for a whole year, like that's a big deal. We have clients that come and go where it's not a right fit, but we are a right fit, and we are in this like relationship together, we're working in your business together, like I don't know, to me we're friends. So here's like your thank you. So it's been really nice to get to like, and George has been very flexible and so have you with just what we're giving. So it's been fun to be able to kind of like play around and be like, okay, this person like lives in this different place and like that place has this really cute brewery, and then like send them that stuff. So yeah, I think it's just kind of been like a nice addition to our little process.
It's nice. Like I think, you know, your role in itself, like client success manager, has been relatively new to us as an agency, because for the longest time we had like project managers, account managers, and we've kind of said like, you know, you can get in contact with like any of the specialists on the team, because we're not that big. We're like about 30 people, and being our size, like the necessity for that role never felt like it was there. But once we introduced it and had this like clear touch point, like the way that George puts your role all the time now is that you are the voice of the client, and you're like that representative that's kind of like advocating them for them all the time. So I think it takes a lot of empathy in order to I don't know, get across to even the rest of us like what the client intentions are, and like why they continue to stay with us in crisis situations.
Oh God.
In situations where like clients are unhappy, like what are like strategies that come into your mind to like, you know, take care of them or like rescue the situation?
That's a tough one. Every crisis is different. Every client is different. I'm still learning also. Like there's some crisis where it's just above me from crisis level, so I'll pass it off to someone higher and watch how they navigate it, because yeah, there's many different levels of the crisis. But for the most part, I'll try to handle it first on my own and just kind of hear out the issue. And it's really easy for me sometimes because I feel like I'm removed from the actual work, so I can kind of see what they're seeing. A lot of the times it's just like a lot of stress or something else is going on, so we can try to soothe it or work it out together. But strategy is just listening. I've learned that like going back and forth in emails specifically with just like bulleted lists of these are all the things that you did and these are the things that you did, no, this is, and I replied to what you did, like that actually is never productive. The
do you remember the first time that I was like, stop, it ends the first time someone comes back with my responses in red, and I'm like, no more, like don't continue after that, right?
But that's liberating, because you're like, okay, I don't have to sit here and fight in different colors and fonts like in an email thread. Let's just talk about it. And most of the time you get on a call and within the first 5-10 minutes you can figure out kind of what the answer is. But yeah, when I remember you joking about people like when they start writing in red and then it's just like a big screaming match, and it's not productive.
I think that first, like the very first time that somebody like just feels the need to address every single point in a certain email or like just like calling individual things out, like if you are to flip it back to someone with like my response is in blue, my response is in purple, and it devolves more and more into like this editable doc, like it is the digital version of like an argument.
100%.
Like, and as formal as everyone is trying to keep it, like that's where the language starts coming out, where people are like, per my last email, and they start using like the what's it called, like very professional takedown kind of things, like the jabs, you know. It's that's when it's getting ugly professionally.
It's almost worse than a real fight though, because we have like a track record of because normally you could be like, I said this, no you said this, and then nobody remembers, but now it's documented and it's for like 10 people to see.
I know, so and it's getting really petty. There's always like multiple, the bosses are getting CC'd in and everything.
It's we need to stop. No more tit for tat, just let's get on a call.
I think that's very much like a big way that we operate. That's even if like in Slack, like internal, external, anything, like if anything starts going sideways, we're like, get on a call now, so you can like feel the person's actual tone that they're coming at you with, because like I think you can get angrier like 100%. As you're looking at like the words on a screen.
I'm happy you brought up tone. Actually, I feel like that's a big one too. Like there's no tone over anything. So I feel like I also use like a lot of emojis, which can be unprofessional, but I'm trying to like just kind of fill in that like lack of voice where you're like, I'm asking you a question but I'm smiling, like it's a smiley question, it's not like a serious question. No, I like that you use emojis for our clients, because it's like it
breaks a little bit of that like tension a little bit. Like I feel like sometimes you'll be like, have a good vacation, palm tree.
Yeah. Palm tree sun.
Yeah. I know that there was once a client that responded to you after like a whole thread of like back and forth. So it was whatever. And I think, what was it that they said? They were like, thanks, queen.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite email I've ever gotten.
Yeah. Was it like, thanks, queen? Or like,
it was like I think it might have been a yes, queen.
Yes,
and
queen.
I was like, we're going above and beyond for this one. Like,
yeah. Like, I think if you like switch the tone to something casual, it's like, again, you're like just adding the human element into things where, I don't know, people like to take their guard down for like half a second.
Yes, and you can kind of see the evolution, like the longer we work with different people, you can see from their first emails to me where it's like very to the sent from iPhone with like a blurry picture and like a couple emojis of just very like they just trust you now.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see that evolution, which is nice because you're like, hey, this person trusts me, like we're kind of friends now, and we just get to work together. And
it's like if it goes both ways, it's like for us to be the first people to throw out the little emoji in the middle of something, like it's. If we can break the ice for a client, I think that kind of expedites things, you know?
Exactly.
Like speaking of tone, like I think it's also generational. Like we were talking with George like literally last week about something, and he said that like he wrote to somebody on our team and was like, I need this done. And we were like, oh my God, George, that's so aggressive. And he was like, I just meant it, like, I just need this done. And we're like, no, that's not what it means. It was like, so we're like, if you understand like the power dynamic of it, plus the fact that we know that him writing it in Slack did not have a happy face or anything with it, it's so serious.
Yeah, no punctuation with that one. And you just a dry, I need this done. In my head, I'm reading that as I need this done. Yeah. You know what I mean? George is like, I just said, I need this done. And we're like, no one is reading it like that.
He's got the dancing lady emoji.
Exactly. I'm like, then put the dancing emoji.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. The tone is, and then you also have to consider, right, the tone, and also I think like because we're in a tech industry, like there's not necessarily age, but there's just kind of like a different level in like people's technical understanding of what's happening, which can be very frustrating. So you just have to be mindful of like the way you're sending something to someone, tone, and also like you just have to be careful. What am I trying to say?
I think it's the jargon part if you want to get into that.
Go. Yeah,
right.
Jargon.
Like if you use too many industry terms, like you're saying, like you're not one of the digital marketers on our team. Like you're handling the relationship. If in our conversations we've got too many acronyms, like we're crazy for acronyms, right? We're like we do PPC, SEO, CPC, all of that, CTR, etc. Like people might feel like they're being talked down to when they don't understand like more than 5 of them.
Exactly.
And I don't know, it sets things off in the wrong tone as well, because then they're like, what are they trying to say here?
Yeah. Or if you need someone to actually do something, and I'm like, they're not going to understand what we're asking them to do. Like you can't send this. This person is replying from an iPad. Like they're not going to be able to do this. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to work. So you just have to make sure that whatever you're sending them is like accessible to them. Mm-hmm. Or if it's difficult, then it has to just forget even sending it to them. Just what time are you free for a meeting? Because let's do this together.
Yeah. I think what you're hitting at is like meet people where they are.
There you go.
Where I like for our clients, like we can't assume that their level of education on marketing is where ours is. We can't assume that they understand the metrics the same way that we do and that we're working towards the same success metrics, because often like as marketers, if we work towards something that's like a vanity metric, like and it's something that clients want a lot, like number of followers, amount of traffic, if it doesn't actually result in like leads and bottom line dollars, like for us it's a misalignment in like what we're working towards. But our ability to communicate that with clients is like entirely dependent on their tech. Like when you say like, you know, some of our clients are like, yeah, I just use an iPad all the time. Like that's kind of like my primary like device that I use. We've had a number of clients that they don't have computers.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
They just simply use their cell phones. If they're very much like in construction, a lot of our clients are like often like in the work truck responding from their phones. Like they're not able to see the mobile, like the desktop version of anything.
Exactly.
They also don't see the same thing as we do when they're trying to sign into something to give us accesses that we're asking for. Mm-hmm. So I think, I don't know, meeting people where they are is like deeply about like understanding people's experiences from their devices, from their level of education, from what experiences they've had in the past too.
Exactly. I feel like it's something that's always top of mind. So I feel like I can be very pushy, even internally with our team, where when I get things, and it has to be right to be sent. Otherwise, it's either going to be offensive or just like really not productive.
Yeah. I think from the time that you started working here, it's always been about like editing the email.
I am such an email editor for this team. I love it. I don't mind it at all. I think it's nice to, you know, use this soft skill so much. But
what are you looking for when you're editing?
It changes. Well, I've learned a lot from you, I will say. Initially, I was sending my emails to you to edit them, which was really helpful. And then I was like, okay, I understand like the tone of NVISION, or like how it should look. I'm looking for, number one, like clarity. Like, what are we at? What is the point of this email? Are we asking them to do something? And if we are we asking them to do something? And if we are asking them to do something, is it scattered, or is it here's the things we need you to do highlighted here, this is really easy? My assumption is that everyone is reading these emails and they're really busy, and other people, things are happening, and they're just trying to pull out the like things that they need to know. So simple, tight, like just to the point, direct. Yeah, and just keeping it clean.
You're like all about the numbering. I see it with the bold.
Oh yeah.
The underline, the yellow highlight, and then the link. And there's two like the arrows pointing
List.
to it too.
Just give it to me, just raw, you know? Just what are the things that we need to talk about?
Get to the point, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a tricky thing when there's so many emails for people, like to decipher exactly what the action is on every single one. And that's like what we had talked about like in the initial like email editing phases, was like, okay, in a busy person's inbox, like, do they know what you want them to do with this particular one?
Exactly.
So I think we're big fans of the approval required.
I know, it's like bold, like massive.
Bold, square brackets, all caps.
Yeah.
Approval.
But then I need you to look at this.
Access required.
And I would even say that goes two ways. Like we have some clients that are amazing, and they're incredibly organized and very, very tight with their emails. And it just helps us, because I get all the content and I go, okay, boom, 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 this is what they want. This to this person, this to this person. And your stuff is just going to get done better and faster. If you send me these cryptic, long thesis or like bits and pieces, I sent this 3 days ago, here's the other half 4 days later. Like, it's just, you got to kind of help us help you. So I don't know, like organized emails are really just important, just all around.
Yeah. I think some of our trickiest clients that we've worked with are the ones that just like open the email, compose email, and type all of their feelings into it, like into like long paragraphs, because in the flow of every other email that we have that's like very task-based, very action-based, very, I need this from you, I need this, grant me access to that. Like, it's like so much to process and respond to, like that we're like, this was the wrong channel.
Exactly.
So like we've put so much focus on email right now, but I think like in talking with clients, like there's so many ways. Like we tell them emails are primary. The other thing is you can schedule video calls with us or schedule phone calls with us. We have very, very few clients that we do like Slack with, very few, like for that like instant access to us. But I think like considering which channel to send which messages, like internal and external, is like such an important skill to learn for every different workplace you're at too.
Yes. And I feel like that's something that's really taken off with the whole virtual work. Something I really didn't think about that much until you get a Slack that's this long and you're like, I can't do this here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like Slack's not the spot.
Slack is not the spot.
No, not to do work. Like it's like, if it's longer, needs process, whatever, it's like goes to the email. If it's beyond email, it's getting into like feelings, things around like bouncing ideas and stuff. That's like call, brainstorm, whatever. And then like beyond, if it needs more people in a brainstorm and it has to be really interactive, that's when we're like, get into the office, right?
Exactly.
Now that like, you know, we experienced our lockdown, they're fully remote, we're making it more and more hybrid. A few of us are coming into the office a little bit more often, and I think it's kind of opened up an avenue for us to see more of our clients in person. How have you been finding in-person meetings with clients?
In-person meetings in the beginning were very interesting because it was that weird moment where you're like, I know this person, and now I'm seeing your legs. Like, I feel like everybody was big on the leg reveal.
That and like, oh, you're taller or shorter than I thought, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This person has a butt. Like, I didn't realize you moved this way.
Yeah.
So I feel like that, and also the clients towards us, they'd be like, oh, like Nicole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the name would mean something, which was actually really nice in the beginning. We were all kind of like, we made it. Like, now we're here.
No, it felt good, I feel like, because for the most part, like, I think client reactions were positive, and that I did feel like they saw you as a human for the first time.
Exactly.
First, like, of course they knew you were a person and everything, but they really saw like your personhood, and they were just like, this is a real person. And so when that happened, like, everything felt warmer after that for certain clients. Like, once they met you, they were just like, okay, like, I know who they are now.
It definitely changed the relationship, like, immediately. Like, the next set of things that we would do together, you could just feel this like deeper connection of like, we meeting a real human. Like, hi.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
So with that, taking down that little bit of like a barrier, or like building that bit of trust, like, is it part of what you want to do for this year to like meet a lot more of our clients? Like, does that feel like the direction that kind of builds that relationship a lot better, or fast tracks it?
100%. Like, I'm trying to meet as many clients as possible, one-on-one or just in person in general. We've been doing a pretty good job at it so far, like, obviously depending on proximity to our office and stuff, but I don't know, it's always just nice. Like, every time the meeting ends, you're always just like, that was really nice. Like, I got to like meet that person and see them and just get a better sense of like what they're about. And you also learn like so many little nuggets in those meetings of just like that person's personality, or like why they're doing this, and it just kind of helps you put the whole story together, versus like, we're doing this service for this client with these 3 bulleted items, and like, this is the whole project. Like, it's like becomes so much more dynamic. So yeah, like, I would love to do like even more in-person meetings with clients, and just like keep, you know, growing that part of us.
Yeah. I think the funny thing about in-person versus a completely online meeting is that when you do small talk in person, that's like where it was meant for.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually meant to happen.
Yes.
Where like when we do it at the start of a call, oh my God, it's like so broken in a way that like when you have to like unmute yourself and be like, how's it go? What'd you say? Like, what was the weather there again? Like, it's like so unnatural in that. And where like in person, you're just kind of like, want a coffee, like pass over the donuts and stuff. Like, we had breakfast with clients, and we're just kind of like, that's what they chose out of the platter of pastries. And it was just like little qualities about that.
That's how they take their coffee. Like, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Just cute human things.
I feel like in person, I don't feel like an awkward person. In Zoom meetings, I am the most awkward. I have no idea how to be. And
you think you are?
I think I'm so awkward online. Just because I just don't, there's the etiquette of talking, not talking, muting, not muting, darkness, not darkness. It's like, I'm like, I don't know how to be here. So that was also new, because I felt like I was meeting these people for the first time, and I'm like an awkward box. Like, that's what I feel like. I'm an awkward dark box. But in person, I'm fine. Like, I feel okay. So it was nice to finally be like, no, hi, like, I'm a whole real person. Like, I'm Nicole, versus just this thing on mute.
I don't think you're that socially awkward on online channels. Like,
it's just those moments where you're like, oh, what's it? Okay, I'll mute. Okay, I'll mute and go. Like, you know what I mean? And then the like scheduled small talk of 2 minutes, and then we have to really get into it because we have 30 minutes, and just all of that. It's just like a weird
I think everyone just goes through the same motions, though.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just on mute. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah. It's blurry. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna turn the camera off. Okay, I'll turn it back on now.
Oh, my Wi-Fi is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God.
Those are challenges, though, and I think like everyone takes that like all with a grain of salt of like understanding like the challenges of communication through all of those ways. But us like doing our best to meet all of our clients, like, I mean, we're putting all the effort in the world that we can to treat them like people.
We're here. If anybody wants to come see us, we're right here.
Sometimes. We're here a few times a month. We're here.
If you book me in my calendar, I'm here.
If you can book me in my very limited calendar.
Yeah, exactly. What's left?
Well, thank you, Nicole, so much for talking to us about client communications. I think we learned a lot of stuff about challenges, what channels work for us, and how we're adapting to this hybrid world of meeting clients in person and online. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this video. If you got something out of it, please like, subscribe, or share it with your friends.